his PowerPoint, his presentation for moderating. He is not showing a PowerPoint presentation in any way. No, no. He is actually helping to moderate some questions that we may have. So, can you please welcome Karl Hughes, our distinguished Toastmaster, our program quality director, our Zoom team leader, our um, oh, I can't name them all. There's such a big list. There's so many things that Karl is involved with. He's a huge support to the district, and we really appreciate everything he does. So thank you, Karl, and we'll leave you to moderate this next session.
Fabulous. Thank you very much, Sue. The latest is also Youth Leadership Program Coordinator as well. So I've taken that one. So another notch on the belt. So it's all good to get the experience. Now, as was mentioned, this is a panel on district officers and pathways. So any of the district office, club officers, or even if you're a district officer, but club officers as well. So anybody who has any questions in their role as an officer, anything to do with integrating into your club through the officers, the Pathways program, if there still needs to be a little bit more integration, if there's anything around a VPE, etc., that had some questions that we can help you with, we have the experts online. So Michael Clancy, we've already heard from in a presentation, so he's on the panel. So you can ask a question to Michael. Sue Pederick, who's been our fabulous Toastmaster today, she's also on the panel as well. Christina Barbonio, who have just given a great presentation as well, will be on the panel. And the person who has been working hard behind the scenes, but you haven't seen him until right this very second where he's come online, is Graham Dunlop, who's been our Zoom master and timer today, but is also has a lot of knowledge around these things as well. So these are the 4 people that we have. What I would do is please ask you to put something in the chat. If you have a question, put it in the chat. If it's a long question and you think, oh, I couldn't be bothered typing with that, just put your hand up so I can see you, shake your hand around so I can see you, and then I will call you or I will read your question out. Now, you can nominate a person out of those 4 people to ask your question to, or you can just keep it without a name and I will then nominate someone. If any of the other 3 panel members have something they wish to add, just make a hand sign or the thumbs up in some way, and I will go to you after the nominated person has had the first crack at that question. So I'm giving a little bit of playing for time here while people are thinking about it and writing away. I can see at least one person, they seem to be typing away. So either they're doing a question or they're doing some knitting, one of the two. And I hope it's a question that they are asking there. So hopefully that will come through soon. But if there are any questions, if you want to come online and show your face and wave your hand around, if you want to cut through any of the typing. I haven't got any questions yet. This is going to be a very quiet session. We might have to turn into a panel on meditation instead. Nothing. Okay, I might start it off. I've got a question then, and I'm going to throw this to all. Let's go to Sue. Sue's in the middle of my screen, so I've picked her straight away. But the others might have a bit of think about this as well. During the course of today's presentations, we have seen that there are a number of things that people are kind of doing in their clubs or across the district that really do fit in with some pathway projects. And I fall into this trap often myself. I do all these speeches and presentations, and then someone says later to me, you know, you could have used that as your one of your pathway projects. And I go, oh, I didn't realize. How can club officers I guess particularly VPEs, but any club officer, how can they help raise the awareness around people and keep tabs, whatever, on making sure people understand that everything that they do can potentially be part of a pathway and get credit for? So what's some strategies that clubs can do to try and raise that awareness that, virtually everything you do can sometimes be allocated to a project in Pathways?
So personally, I would suggest that you make sure people know everything counts. So by enhancing your education at the start of the a meeting as a Toastmaster, even saying, all right, who is doing what role, or even the VPE saying before you get to the meeting, who is doing what role, and this counts. This counts as Toastmaster, this counts as timer, this counts as other roles, because behind the scenes, there are all those other roles that count. And it encourages you to look at what does and doesn't count, because if you do the Toastmaster 10 times, it can't count. You need to move on. You need to embrace other things in the program. So I would encourage an email out to members to say, make sure everything you do that counts. If you're doing something, to record it if it's not in the Toastmasters realm, or if you're recording your own meetings at a club meeting and you haven't brought the things along to make it count, try and get your VPE maybe to follow up. And it means sharing the knowledge to as many people as possible that everything does count. And if you share it with the VPE and the president and whoever the Toastmaster is of the meeting, to enhance it and make it part of the spiel, or even potentially the Sergeant at Arms. We've got a lot of club officer training coming up. Potentially, you could say nearly every role should be enhancing that in the club officer training sessions, that make what you do counts. And if you don't make it count at the meeting, make it count afterwards, because it's a lost resource. It's a lost accolade for your club, for you, and for your way of moving through the Distinguished Club program. So that's just a few of my thoughts.
Good, thank you, Sue. Now we do have a question that came through on the chat from Vince. If we have a question in the course of our club officer role, whom do we put it to? And I might go first cab off the rank to Graham, just so you get a chance to do some talking in your role today.
Thank you, Karl. That's very kind. I guess there's a lot of people that you can go to. So it depends on where your club is, in terms of how active, how whatever it is. Probably the first person you can ask is your immediate past president. That's somebody who will be on your committee for the next year. They should have a good idea of answers to any of the questions. Another person you could talk to is your area director. So an area director will look after, I don't know, anywhere between 4 to 6 clubs that are part of your particular area. So I'm an area director this year. I have 4 clubs. I try and keep in contact with the presidents and the VPEs so that we can help them move along with any issues that clubs are having, and encourage them to participate in things like the Distinguished Club program that Christina was talking about. Those are the first 2 people. I guess you could also go above that to your division director. But also there's a lot of people around. Come to an event like this and put your questions to that. Go to club officer training as well. There's club officer training twice a year, and I guess club officer training will be starting around July this year. So each new person in their role is given training when they attend the club officer training. Yeah, there's plenty of people. You just need to reach out.
Karl, if I can just elaborate a little bit, I was thinking more specifically about if you facing a problem with, say, processing someone's achievements or something of that ilk, and you're having difficulty with understanding the system itself or what you need to do. I'm thinking more of the team of experts who can give us quick guidance. Certainly in the club, at the club level, I belong to 2 clubs. The knowledge is still very low. That may be a reflection on me, but the knowledge is still very low. So I would probably want to step outside the club, maybe even bypass the area and division governor and look to someone like Christina, Graham, or Michael. And the reason why I say that is, and the reason why I ask the question is, if Christina's getting all the questions, Christina would be pretty busy. And I guess what I'm asking is, structurally, who do we go to for an expert opinion on how to resolve a problem?
Okay, so if it's particularly pathways that you're thinking about,
yes,
you can contact the Pathways team. Christina, perhaps you can put the address in the chat. That would be, I think it's Pathways at District 73. And that will probably reach all of us, or at the very least, it will reach Christina, and she can say, okay, Graham or whoever, can you please help these people out? So I'd say first port of call would be the Pathways team.
Okay, so thank you.
If there's a question in regard to your leadership role, go back to the club leadership handbook, because the club leadership handbook has all the guidelines and the background for what you need with your role, and it's your support mechanism. And as far as pathways, go back to Navigator as well. And if the Navigator, the PDF of that, can help you, that might guide you through the question you might have had as well. So I encourage people to look before going, I can't do it. Just have a go. And if you still need a bit of help, definitely ask others. There are so many people around.
Mm-hmm.
Christina, did you want to add something?
Yes. Where to look help? There's so many. There's we have your you can go straight to Toastmasters, membership at toastmasters.org. You can go to us. Now, the one thing that I've been seeing a lot of people were doing is going to social media, search it up, or you can post something. So in Facebook, we have so many Facebook group dedicated uh, to helping pathways people, Toastmasters. You can ask questions, anything. So there's a group about, online training. You can ask questions there. Or even in our district Facebook group, you can ask questions there. So if that's something that you're comfortable in doing so. So there's so many helps available. I know it's quite overwhelming to find these resources, but in time you get used to it. I'm planning of getting all the links and where to go document, and I'll send that out to you guys. I'll post it in our newsletter. But as I've said, there's so many avenues where you can ask help. So you got your YouTube, you got your social media like Facebook. You can go straight to Toastmasters. You've got us, the Team Pathways, and you can ask your the people that completed their pathways. So yeah, so there's a lot of resources available. Thank you, Karl.
Thank you, Christina. Is there any challenges that anybody as a district officer, I keep on saying district, as a club officer, or you could be a district officer here, have you got any challenges around perhaps pathways in your club? Or even if you're a member, are you seeing any challenges in your club that you might like to raise here to see if this Brains Trust can come up with some strategies for you? Anne, I can see Anne. Yep.
Pardon me. I wouldn't call it a challenge, but it is a question, especially at, say, level 4 or level 5s, which I'm looking at. And Christina, I think one of maybe Michael might have mentioned one of the electives or the electives at level 4 and level 5 where you have the 360 evaluation. If you want to say those, do something in a community group, but it's not Toastmasters, do you have to have that evaluated by a Toastmaster? If you're working for a community group in a voluntary role, I'm sure you can use it for a Toastmasters project, but do the other Toastmasters have to physically be there and evaluate?
Okay, that's a good question. Michael for that.
Okay, so you have to give a speech about your experience. That needs to be evaluated. In terms of your 360 degree, if you've got one of those, that is not a Toastmasters evaluation per se. A 360 degree evaluation is something that you do in corporate life as well. So your manager will evaluate you, but your manager may also get your colleagues to evaluate you, and you may get your subordinates to evaluate you. So that's why it's called a 360, because you're getting evaluated from all around you. That is something you can do in your community organization as well. You can ask people, can you just give me an evaluation based upon the criteria of this form? And it's a, did you do it well to did you not do it well? So it's basically a 5-level thing. So that is something that you can do. You don't have to be a Toastmaster.
Can I just say, I've been looking on Facebook pages, like International Members page or something similar. And that's questions been asked quite a few times, and the answers come back that yes, you have to have a Toastmaster to evaluate you.
You only need a Toastmaster to evaluate your speech.
Right. Because they were saying someone has to be there to, Toastmaster has to do the 360 evaluation. Because my reading of it was that you don't. That was the interpretation from a few of.
Yeah, my reading of it is that you don't. Again, that's my reading of it. And people will read different things. The English language is quite verbose. And, if I was to say pitch, you would probably think about 4 different ways of looking at the word pitch, because you've got throwing, you've got black stuff, you've got selling. There's a whole lot of different words that we use. So when you look at the context that words are used, you can come up with different meanings depending on where you're coming from. It's a conversation between you and the piece of paper, really. And my conversation with that piece of paper was, I just need to get someone to evaluate my 360. It doesn't say how many, but I want someone who's been supervising me. I want someone I've been supervising. I want someone who's a peer at the same level of me. That to me is a 360 degree evaluation.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the answer.
Thank you, Anne. Any other challenges as a club officer or a member in a club that you perhaps seeing that your club officers are struggling with this, particularly around pathways? Christina, do you want to add something?
Yes. Challenges. So as a club officer, so I've been a club president, a vice president of education, and a PR for my club. So as for those roles, the challenges I face as a club officers is really trying to help members understand the entire Pathways education program. And what I'm finding is presenting the educational during the club meeting, it helps, but not quite enough. What I'm finding that helps terribly with almost 99% success is actually having one-on-one with the member. So what we've been doing as a club member, if we have a new member, so I'll invite them to the library or via Zoom. We'll have a one-on-one chat and we will go through the pathways. And that, I think, is the most effective way to make each one of your club member know about pathways. So it's a huge challenge, especially if there's only one pathways champion in your club. But the thing is, one success, as I said, small success, one member, you have a success with one member and it just carries on. And before you know it, you got all your members already familiar with how pathways works. So it takes a bit of time at the beginning, but eventually it will pay off. Just a little bit of hard work and help with other members in your club, you get there.
Thank you, Christina. Sue.
I think one thing I'd noticed in quite a few clubs is the agenda going out too late to save someone, to reinforce things, to encourage people on what they need to do. So if the agenda went out early enough, you could support and prompt, as a mentor, prompt members to step up into certain roles, and you need that framework ready to go to put someone into those roles. So it would be really good to have the agenda out early enough so that you can say to new members in particular what to click on, what to do, and how easy it is in say Free Toast Host, how easy it is to select down and choose an actual project and keep moving on, so that everything is laid out ready for them, and they've got their evaluation sheet, they've got the project, they've got everything laid out in that agenda if they are using Free Toast Host to help support them as well.
Thank you, Sue. Can I ask, and I'm going to just add on to this, regarding mentor programs within the clubs. Does anybody on the panel know how that's working with helping new members get onto Pathways? If you have a mentor program in your own club, is that helping people get onto Pathways, or is there a difficulty with the mentors themselves not really understanding Pathways? And as Christina said, it ends up being up to just perhaps one person in the club who's the Pathways expert that everybody relies on. Does anybody have on the panel, you just put your hand up if you have any experience around a mentor program and the integration of Pathways? Just before I go to the panel, I did see Rosa, you put your hand up. Did you want to make a comment?
Yes,
Rosa?
I did, yes. I am the president of one club. I'm a member of two clubs, the president of one club and the VPM of another club. So in our clubs, we do use the mentor. We assign mentors to all new members. And like Christine said, working on one-on-one is excellent. Me personally, we use the team viewer, which is perfect. We spend an hour or a couple of hours with a new member and they introduce them to Pathways. And also I have introduced the online agenda to the new VPEs, and this works wonderfully. So, yeah, and me, I've been helping so many Toastmasters. I don't realize how many Toastmasters I've been helping during my years of Toastmasters. I do that just as it comes naturally to me. I offer, whenever a new member got an hour time on the weekend or night time, or I'm willing to tag them on the team viewer, and that helps wonders.
Okay, good. Thank you, Rosa. So I'm hearing there that you're saying a mentor program is helping with the new members, getting them onto pathways and that.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Thank you. I'm just going to go quickly to the panel members because we've not got a lot of time left. Does any panel member just want to add to what Rosa commented on there regarding a mentor program and helping new members get on pathways? Christina?
Yes, definitely. I encourage you guys, once the Pathways Mentor Program becomes available to you, get on it. Really work on that because it's really procedural. It tells you what exactly you need to do, what needs to be recorded, and it just helps you to help your mentee. So very helpful, and it's just not within Toastmaster. You can also apply that outside Toastmaster. So very helpful. It's one of those projects I say, oh, I'm not really going to get a credit out of it because you don't get a DCP point for that. But still, I would say it's one of those life skills. So as soon as you get that Pathways Mentor Program available for you, get on it, have a read, and see if it's something that you can apply to your fellow members and outside Toastmasters. Thank you, Karl.
Fabulous. Thank you very much. Now, Christina did put in the chat there the email for the coordinator around pathways. So please copy that down. Any other questions you can send to her and she will deal with it or allocate to one of the members of the Pathways team. Would you please thank our panel today? Graham Dunlop, Sue Pederick, Michael Clancy, and of course the fabulous Christina Barbonio, who wraps all this and coordinates it. Thank you guys, a great little panel there. I will now pass back to our Toastmaster, Sue.
Thank you, Karl. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. Really appreciate the time it takes to just venture out and attend these sessions because they're important to all of us. I never leave a session without picking up some more hints and tips and going, wow, didn't know that, didn't know this. I really should embrace that. And gee, I get inspired by what we hear as well on these sessions.